Hey everybody, welcome to Friday Night Hangout number 12 here with Android Coliseum. It is January 18th, 2013, and we are joined here this week with, and I'll start from my far right, which is that direction. We have Tom Gray, writer here at Android Coliseum. We have Sylvain Labouris, writer here at Android Coliseum. Myself, Ryan Moore, writer here at Android Coliseum. I'm getting some echo. That wasn't me. Sorry about that, guys. And then last but not least, we have Cass Morrison, writer here at Android Coliseum. This week, Mark is just a little busy with some family time, which, you know what, having a newbie baby in the house sometimes can have that happen. Okay, so here at Android Coliseum, like I said, this is our number 12th Hangout, and we appreciate for all of you guys who have a chance to tune in. What we've done is put in the event our topics and our agenda that we're going to have to talk about. And so for the next hour or so, we're going to go through these topics and just discuss our thoughts and points. And what we're going to do is each going to monitor a different channel. So this week we sort of divvied up the duties. Tom's going to be watching our YouTube channel to see what comments happen in there. Sylvain's going to be watching our communities. I'll be watching the page, and I'll be watching the Hangout document. And then Cass will be watching our event. So if you guys have any commentary on what we're talking about, please, by all means, comment in one of those ways, as well as we also have our Google Talks open in any one of us, so you can always chat with us that way. We want to have a conversation with you. This is Android is anything, you know, it's the community that we have here. So please get in touch with us in some way. We'd love to hear about it. So without further ado, let's go on and start talking topics. All right, so the first thing we saw in this past week is an announcement by Samsung, who recently hit 100 million sales of a Galaxy S device. So that includes the Galaxy S Captivate, Fascinate, Vibrant, Galaxy S Slide, Galaxy S2, Galaxy S2 Rocket, X2X, S2 LTE, S3. So that's a lot of devices that it covers, but 100 million. And I think this is the device that not only, passing 100 million mark is a big thing for Samsung to do, but also for Android, because I think the Galaxy S device was the real first device that people took Android seriously with. I know personally, I love my HTC Magic, but it wasn't really until I got my Galaxy S Captivate that I really went, hey, this thing goes toe-to-toe with an iPhone. And I think this is when people started taking it seriously. How many people here have had a Galaxy S device? I've had two. I've had the S and the S3. Tom, what have you had?
I've had Galaxy S, Galaxy S Fascinate, Galaxy S2, Galaxy S2 LTE, Galaxy Nexus, Galaxy Note, Galaxy Note 2.
But just a Galaxy S series. I know you've had a lot. So a lot of because of the Galaxy S series. And Cass, yourself, said you had some?
I had the Galaxy S Vibrant, so the one that came out on Bell. So it was really the closest to the international version that was released in Canada.
And Sylvain, did you have any of those yourself, or?
I just had the Galaxy Nexus.
You went for the Galaxy Nexus. So, but I think this was the first device. I mean, despite all the copyright issues that they had over it, I think this is probably the biggest thing that especially the Galaxy S, the Fascinate and the Vibrant, they went to court over because it looked so much like the iPhone, but it really was a device that was meant to be on par with the iPhone, be sexy, stylish, have the horsepower to be able to compete. And I think the fact that they've now reached that 100 million mark is pretty cool. Personally, I've moved on from the Galaxy series. I'm beyond the TouchWiz styles of liking. I know Cass is still a big fan and loves it. And I think, the fact that they sold 100 million of them speaks to that comment. So congratulations to Samsung on that mark, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other things come out from Samsung mean, obviously, we're starting to hear some of the rumors of the new updates that are coming out for some of the new Note 10.1s in the States. And even TELUS just announced sort of preemptively that the S2 update is up now. So we'll keep our ears open for what Samsung has in store for us in the next little while. The next topic that we came out started a little bit of debate between two people here in the writing camp in terms of how do you back up your Android device. And there's plenty of discussion about that. But first, and we'll have Sylvain talk about Titanium Backup, which is sort of the backup service out there. If you're going to back up your phone, chances are you're using Titanium. But this week, the guy who made up, what is it, ROM Manager, Kushik Duda, how is his name, released Carbon. Now, not Carbon, the Twitter app you might have heard that was on WebOS and Windows Phone, but Carbon Backup. So, Cass, you got a chance to play with it. What did you think?
I like it because it's really easy to use. You just pick the things you want to back up, hit backup, and it does that. And it's really easy to restore as well. You just go to the Restore tab, select the file you want to restore, and it restores. I found Titanium a little more confusing. The UI on the UI on Carbon is much nicer because it's just a bunch of checkboxes. So with the latest update, it really helped a lot. It added the Dropbox feature, so now you can back up to Dropbox, Google Drive, and your phone, and it stopped hanging. So I'm really looking forward to it coming out as an app. I think that's one that I'll pay for.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that people keep talking about is it's really nice to be able to have a backup. So when I change phones or I do, because not many people are, like Tom and Sylvain and trying new ROMs every other week, where they're having to back up a lot of data. But a lot of people are buying a new phone, and having to bring in their Angry Birds scores and there's stuff like that. So this is a quick and easy way. Titanium Backup is a lot more. And let Sylvain talk about Titanium because they had an update this week too, didn't they, Sylvain?
They had one not too long ago, but I didn't try Carbon. I stick to Titanium Backup just because I've been using it forever. I'm all set up, with my schedules to back up my data, to back up my apps, and that's all I do. There's a million options in there. It's crazy. The first time you start the app, you're like, whoa, what's going on? What do I do with that? And my first backup, I screw everything up. I lost everything, and I was with no backup and a device that I did a factory reset on it. So, yeah, it can be a little bit hard at first, but overall, once you get how it works and you figure out all the options, it's pretty good. So I did write an article in the blog this week. Check it out, and there's a quick guide on how to start your first backup.
Cool. Now, Cass, had you ever used Titanium Backup yourself? You said you tried it, or?
I tried it, and I got a fail, and I'm afraid that I'm one of those people that really, if something doesn't work the way I want it to, I move on.
And I think I'm in the same camp as you. I tried it a couple times, and I had a few fails, and it happened at it failed. It failed in a time when I really didn't want it to fail, so I was a little perturbed by it. So I haven't had to really get another shot. So, but it's cool to see that there's a competition for it. Something a little, I hate to use the word simpler, because Titanium does a lot more than I think Carbon does, especially when it comes to stuff like freezing apps like that. I used to use it primarily to unfreeze Google Wallet whenever we would reboot and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's an opportunity for people to use. And apparently, the next update for Carbon apps coming out is that it won't need root. And that's the cool thing. So that for those of you who don't root your devices, you can actually still do the same thing that we've all been used to when we actually are rooted. So Android getting simpler for the masses, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah,
right,
there's something else.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, there's something else I wanted to point is that I'm not sure that you can sync between your devices with Titanium Backup. I think you can just, like I know Carbon, you can. He showed it on the video. It's really easy. but I'm not sure with TB. What do you think, Tom?
You can actually. It's actually when you make a backup through Titanium Backup, it goes to its default folder in the root of your SD card called Titanium Backup.
Yeah.
Within the settings, you can actually change which folder, and you'll actually create a folder. For example, my backup is called Backup. So what I do is I'll either sync it directly to Dropbox, or I will just copy that folder backup from my SD card and move it to Dropbox. So when I have a new device or I flash a new ROM and I wipe my SD card, I simply copy that file back or upload it back from Dropbox and just change the restore location to that backup folder, and there you go.
Okay, yeah. That's probably what I wasn't doing, because I don't upload all the time, all my new backups.
It is confusing if you don't know what it does, because if you change the name of the default folder and you format your phone, you have to tell it to go back to that folder, or Titanium Backup goes, what? There's nothing here. And you have to say, no, you're looking in the wrong spot, go to the backup folder, and then everything is good again.
Okay.
Oh. Something one of these days I like to really get around and play with myself is actually doing those kinds of backups. All right, let's keep moving along here. We'll talk about here is Android insecurity. I mean, we hear nothing but when it comes to detractors for Android, the fact that, well, Android's full of malware. It's got viruses. That's the problem with an open system. So there was an article recently that talked about Android being 99% of the targeted malware out there. Tom, you got some more info on this, I think.
Well, I wouldn't say they're 99%. I mean, that's what the statistics say. But I've wrote numerous articles for our previous blog, and I'm going to be writing one for our new one, Android Coliseum, soon. And the best way to prevent this is your own common sense. I mean, don't go off downloading random apps that you don't know what they do, or one of your buddies says, hey, get this. What is it? I don't know. Looks cool. Get it. I mean, yeah, I would say they're a little bit of a target because you can go off market. I mean, if you got an iPhone or whatever, you're limited to what Apple's going to provide you. Therefore, it's safe and you're inside the box. It's no different from a jailbroken iPhone. I mean, I used to do the iPhone thing years ago. Once you jailbreak and you start downloading stuff off Cydia and other, what do you call them, sources, you're downloading stuff that anybody can make. I can make an app. I can throw a whole bunch of garbage in it, release it. You guys are going to download it, and you don't even know what it is. But yet you're going to trust a complete stranger to load software onto your phone. So again, it's trusting your sources, knowing where you're downloading from, and using your common sense. Download your apps off the market or the Google Play Store and other various trusted sources. Don't download random files that you happen to find through Google search, because then, of course, you're going to run into trouble. And what I tell everybody else, most malware and viruses come from apps you shouldn't be downloading anyway. You don't need to have that big booty Asians app or, sexy bikini females. I mean, that's what's going to do it to you. It did 10 years ago with Windows platform systems, and it still does it today. So again, the best defense is your common sense. You don't need an antivirus for your phone. Just use your head. That's all I have to say.
I loved how that one rhymed. Your best defense is your common sense. And I think that's something when I wrote an article a while back, there are things you must do with your Android device in terms of a new user. And one of them was read reviews in the Play Store before you install stuff. I've had a few people come up and be like, yeah, what are these notifications I get in my app? I'm getting these things at the very top that say this and that. I don't know where that comes from. And it's like, well, I don't know what the app is. Did you read any reviews on it? Oh yeah, it's saying there's a lot of spam ads. Just read it. So. Okay. So
here actually.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll post it to the chat log so you guys can see it too. So the question is, how do you Titanium backup to back a second user on 4.2? And what I would go back to the options again. And what I would say to answer this question is exactly what I said earlier. You're going to go into your settings and change the settings to a folder. So like you're going to have person name A, and you're going to say, okay, back up to A folder. And then you'll do your backup, do whatever you want. So that's done. You take that backup, throw it into your Dropbox or whatever cloud storage you happen to have, or leave it on your SD card. And person B comes around, hey, I want to back up too, but I don't want your apps, I want my apps. Okay, no problem. You know, you go and change the name to folder B within Titanium Backup. Take that folder and then move it on to your storage or whatever you want. It's not the most ideal method. I mean, there is going to be tweaking the settings because, I mean, Androids are typically a one-user device. I mean, they haven't really got that perfected yet, but I'm sure something's coming. That's probably the best you can do for Titanium Backup at the moment, to my knowledge. Maybe somebody knows more than I do, but I would say that's probably the best answer that I can think about right now for that solution.
Yeah, I think maybe it might introduce a bit of confusion, especially when we start looking at the tablets, which have the multi-user support as well.
Yes.
Now, there's a way to do that when you do multi-user on the same tablet. I'm not sure if that's what the user was asking or not. Okay, let's. So we're moving along here. Where were we here? Okay, so insecurity, like Tom says, common sense is your best defense. All right, so bring your own device. This is something that's we're hearing about a global trend. Companies that aren't really paying for the hardware of the device, you just come to the company and you get a password for your email that you put on your phone and you use it. Something that's new and available, and it's something I know I did when I came into work. I really didn't want him to give me a BlackBerry or give me whatever else, or an iPhone or something. I wanted to use my own device. So I looked at it. I'm saving my company, not having to buy my plan. They give me a rebate on some of it, but not having to buy me a device. But I also get to use my own device. So, but the question is that a security threat to the employer that, especially on Exchange servers, and that's a threat. Now, Cass, you say you work in IT, so what's your take on this?
Yeah, I'm sort of our liaison for our location with the IT department, and they do not allow you to bring your own device. They put out a memo saying that if you have an Android device, this was back in Gingerbread, that they would not even let you really put your Exchange, because you have to have permission to be able to grab your Exchange email onto your device, and they wouldn't give it permission on Android devices. There is a lot of security threats, and the way that certainly our company deals with it is by encrypting all the hard drives we can. So any mobile equipment like laptops all have encrypted drives. They have gone to iPhones just to make people happy with having which is why I don't have a work phone. So they've gone to iPhones, and they are even locking down USB ports. So I think that if you work for a larger corporation, then they're not going to let you bring your own device.
See, that's the thing. I have a question about because I remember when I install Exchange on my device and I go to my work and I had to go get my IT guy or my carrier guy to allow Exchange for my device, because most of our emails were set up for BES, and we had to set a couple up for iPhone style. Mine I had to set up for Active Exchange Sync or whatever it was. So when you put it in, it actually says this device, by installing or letting this thing on, it allows your Exchange server to remotely wipe your phone, or have that control over the phone, that if it needs to, it can sort of nuke out that stuff. So that's something I guess that's just not secure enough. And I understand totally that in some cases, if you're a company and you have secure things, then you, by all means, you should be able to lock it down the way you want. The same way is like, if you're going to come in, you're not going to bring your own laptop and work on your laptop stuff. Or it's a discussion we've had at our office a couple times about even letting people have our password to the Wi-Fi who come in and like, yeah, can I get on your Wi-Fi? and we have to sit there and go, well, our storage server technically has access to it. So it's funny how that's become more of a concern lately. More and more as become wireless devices are more readily available, that security becomes an issue. So you know what? And I don't think it's Android specific, but it's any device out there these days that we're finding concern about. So,
well,
I think
with our place, we do have because we do have customers that will want to use Wi-Fi. We do have an open network that is sandboxed that will provide public access Wi-Fi. So
you can do that, yeah.
Yep, they are having a lot. They have a lot of different servers for things, and they are isolating things from each other. They just don't want. They just don't want people to bring their own devices because they don't want people to. I think the real fear is that someone will plug something in, and then a virus will get on our system just from transferring through USB.
Well, it's possible, but but then again, they always say an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, right? So it's always best to be overly cautious, especially if you have secure documents you don't want out there. Okay, so let's move along here. I wanted to quickly talk about this week. We had a poll about which weather app are you using on your phone to tell the weather, and I was thinking, there's dozens out there, but I didn't think we'd get this wide a variety. So I was kind of interested to see how many we had. We actually, I think, have 12 different ones listed by different people right now. Anyone want to take a stab at what do you think the number one answer is?
The Weather Network?
Yeah, I would say the same.
The Weather Network, the Weather Network, whatever you wanted to call it, is the number one choice. And what I'll do is we're all going to talk about our own personal choices for that right now, or later on in the App Coliseum part. So we'll all have our own say on what we think is the favorite. Yeah, so it was really interesting to see that Weather Eye, obviously we knew was going to be, I think, is a clear, but it's not a clear winner because as much as there's a lot of other ones, there's a couple that are very close and tied to each other. WeatherBug Elite, Beautiful Widgets, Google Now, and OneWeather are sort of the next contenders, and they're all pretty neck and neck for that number 2 spot. So then everybody else sort of falls in behind after that. So interesting to see what a huge spread we have on that. Cass, you had a comment.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about Google Now. I hate that Fahrenheit crap that I keep getting. How do you get rid of that?
You should be able to just go into Google Now and change the setting. Yeah. Yeah, it's a setting.
Where?
Go scroll down to your bottom. Go into Google Now. Go scroll down to the bottom. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys here.
You can touch the 3 dots on the weather pane as well.
Very, very, very.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Settings and change Fahrenheit Celsius weather units.
Because I just couldn't get that. And I hate Fahrenheit. I sit there and look at it and go,
Yeah, I'm Canadian. I use Celsius.
I'm a scientist. I use Celsius.
There's a huge debate lately. They're talking to us in the States about trying to switch over to metric, eh?
No.
They never will.
I don't think it'll ever happen, but oh well. Anyways, yeah, so you can change it. So, and I'm a big, huge Google Now fan myself. But again, we'll talk about that during the App Coliseum portion of the event here. So let's move along. So the other piece of news I thought was exciting, especially for a few of us here who have a Nexus 4, is an official Nexus 4 wireless charging orb. The HP WebOS touchpad or touchstone Mark II, which I can't wait to get. I'd love to try it. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be launching in February, so just in time for a Valentine's Day gift if somebody wants to get me something. And just put it out there. And it's only going to be $40 according to the rumors. $40 for a nice wireless charging device. And what's really cool about it is the fact that it's angled, right? So it's not just you put it on a pad like some of them, but it's actually sitting angled, and you can sit it, and you can actually then start using that Dreamscape and have your pictures float by, you know, do whatever. So I'm looking forward to this because we talked about this before. Nexus accessories, I mean, most accessories for some companies were pretty non-existent, especially official devices. So this was nice to see that it looks like it's going to happen. Now, hopefully it's not going to be Play Store only. It might be an LG thing, hopefully, like because I'm guessing, and I have to double check my stats, but the Optimus G would be wireless charging. That'd be kind of cool. So hopefully that it's an LG device and you just can buy it from the store versus buy it from the Play Store, because I still haven't been able to get my bumper case. So anyways, so that's a topic I thought was really cool. Moving along into the review portion of the evening, the Nexus 4, we've seen Tom write his quick little review last week on it. I promised you guys I'd be getting to do my review on it this week, and I have it just about done. I just need to record the video. But I think pretty much I'm in the same camp as Tom is in terms of that. You know what? After about almost a month of using it, it's a great device. It falls short on the spec end of it in terms of usability against some of the top-end devices. I mean, compare it to your Galaxy S2 or around those kind of devices, it definitely is better. But compare it to the S3, the Note 2, stuff like that, it falls a little short, I find. But does that stop me? No, because this is where the software end wins out. The fact that I know I'm getting the Google operating system, that, if anything, takes over me. Then I know I'm having pure Android. I don't have to worry and muck about something else. So I know I'm going to get those updates. So that's my update on my review. I will have that in the hopper. The review has just gotten longer and longer the more I keep starting to write. I gotta find a way to start to shorten myself in terms of what I want to say, because it just gets longer and longer. So that's out there. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I just got today, and I've been playing around with, are glider gloves. Anybody have glider gloves out there? I know a couple people posted that they have theirs. Cass, you have a set similar to a
Yep.
Like,
From Hip.
for those here's are the Hip Street ones you got from Future Shop, and I've heard you can get these from Staples as well. These are so glider gloves. Just in case those who don't know what glider gloves are, these are the idea that I can run around outside of my coffee break, hacking portals, and not take off my finger or take my gloves off to use my phone. I can just keep these on. So these are really cool. I mean, I like them. My hands are a little small or meaty, I guess, for even the large I found. So these are still a little tight fitting. But they work quite well. They're still a little cold. They're still not super warm, but you know, I probably wouldn't be using them to keep me totally warm. It's just when I need to use the phone. Otherwise, I keep them in my pocket. But they work quite well. This is the winter pair. They're a little more lined. They work very well with the phone. Operates very easily. The other pair I got were the urban pair. They don't have quite the lining in them. A little thinner. But for some reason, they just don't respond as well as the other one. When I got them at work, I let the gal in the office play with it, and she wasn't working on hers, and I'm like, oh, it just must be your iPhone. It must be that. And I tried to make, no, that one isn't working. So I don't know if I just got a bum unit or whatever, but it's funny. You would think the ones that are thinner would work better, whereas these ones are thicker and they work the best. So I'll do a full review on these in the next little while. So yeah, that's the glider gloves. And again, if you guys are using accessories out there, I'd like to see what you guys are using. So Tom, comment.
Yeah, to go with your glider gloves, and I'll answer a comment from a reader after this otherwise. I actually found these at the dollar store, $2.50 for 2 pair. And they are probably not near the quality of Ryan's glider gloves. These are the equivalent to the one-size-fit-all that you find at your generic dollar store. But for 2 pairs for $2.50, and yes, they work. I've used them. I mean, you can't go wrong. For the budget spender, keep an eye out for these guys. You know, look for the tipped fingers. Try them out. They're a great find. 2 pair for $250, man. Can't go wrong. Now to answer a comment, Paul Poco, I've already posted in our chat comment here, has said that the Nexus 4 has some of the best Bluetooth he's ever had in the phone. He says you can go almost across the street and it'll still work. That being said, I'm just going to jump into that Bluetooth fix article then. Paul Poco might be happy to know if he's ever experienced any issues. Google's planning on releasing the 4.2.2, which was rumored for a while, and now we found out that actually, yeah, it's coming down the turnpike, and it's coming. So what one of the main features is they're fixing a Bluetooth issue that some people are having. I personally am not. They're having, apparently the Bluetooth kicks off when the screen turns off and your phone starts to idle during play.
I have that bug.
Yeah, some people are complaining that the playback stops and they have to wake the device up by hitting the power button and play that music again. For me doing my little research and people asking me, why is this happening? You know, I have a new phone, why? You know, almost everybody that's having this problem is in cars. I've noticed that. Every time it's a Bluetooth issue in a car. For the people who follow me on Google Plus and stuff, they know that I stream 8 hours of Bluetooth music at work per day, Monday to Friday, and I've never had it stop one time on me. And I have a Nexus 4 running, you know, 4.2.1. So this issue is not affecting everybody. Now, is it a compatibility issue with your Bluetooth device, or is it only affecting some devices, or is it a car thing? You know, so it's something to look out for, and maybe try, for people who are having issues with this, try a different Bluetooth adapter if you have one, and see if you experience the same issue. So try and figure out, is it your device that's having compatibility issues, or is it really an Android problem?
Yeah, we talked about the 4.22 the other day and about, you know, was it really coming? And we've heard the idea about it being a fix for Bluetooth. I mean, personally, I don't really use it as much as Tom does, like nowhere near as much as Tom does. So I don't think I've seen quite that issue. But again, if you're having that issue, I'd like to hear what you guys have had. So anyways, let's move it along here. So we're going to move on to updates from this past week. And Sylvain had put in the fact that he'd seen FTP Server Pro update. Sylvain, can you give me some enlightenment on that?
Yes, I've been using FTP Server Pro for a while now. It's rarely updated, but this week there was a few options that were added. That's pretty cool. You can now change the custom home folder. So instead of being just your root, the root in my case, or your SD card, you can choose any folder. So that's pretty good. There was something I don't use anyway. Before, when you run the app, your screen stayed on. Now you can just keep it off, and they call it the save mode. So I'm not sure how really useful that is, but because when I use the FTP server, it's never for more than maybe 5-10 minutes, so it doesn't really do anything, you know, for the battery, even if my screen stays on for 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So that's FTP Server Pro, new update. I've seen, personally, like last week we talked about Chrome Beta being out now. We saw an update almost right away, and then it's a second, and I believe it just had a third update recently for the Chrome Beta. And that's why I love having these devices or these apps that are beta form, that just keep updating. I love being on the cutting edge of it. On Chrome, I'm on Dev channel, and I may see a bug one day, but you know what? Chances are the next day I don't see that same bug. But I love being able to have the newest features and the greatest features, because I really don't see a downside to them. I haven't really noticed any issues that have really run up against. So take a look. I think we put an article in the blog about some of the updates. That's why. So and yeah, so. Is that Paul Poco talking about why Cyanogen mod rocks? Because you're running latest and greatest, you're always getting updates. That's what Android's about, I think. The fact that it gives you that opportunity to do that. I mean, if you want to sit back and wait, that's entirely up to you. You're not going to be running on a bad device. But sometimes, you know, us techie people like to be, you know, what's the newest, latest, and greatest. Another update or new release this week was MediaFire. and Sylvain, who's been a heavy MediaFire user in the past while, he beat me. I'm a cloud guy. I love having cloud apps, and I love having the new option, 50 gigs. I jumped on that right away. So MediaFire offering 50 gigs up, adds a new update. Sylvain, give us your thoughts on the Android app side of it.
Yes, well, for a first release, I think it's pretty good. They include lots of options, and some of them are, let's say you have one file, you can just share it, copy the link, make it private or public, rename it, move it, delete it, download. So right off the bat, that's pretty good, I think, the amount of options you get with that. There's a few options, well, not really, that you can change in your settings, but you can right from your phone, you can do a new folder, upload a file, take a picture, take a video. You can even upload your gallery. I don't really do any of that except for the files. The only downside, and I wrote that in my article on the blog, is that every time it needs to log in, I need to have an offline mode. Even like Dropbox, even if you're not online, you can go in and see the files that are there. So that's interesting. If you're not online with MediaFire, you just can't get in. You don't see any of your files, you can't do anything. So that's the only downside. But I mean, it's a first release, so I'm sure they're going to improve the app pretty soon.
Yeah, and it's one of the things I know you've talked about MediaFire as being a big user and sharing files with us here within the team using that file. And there's a bunch of options out there, but the fact I think they're giving away 50 gigs, I think is a good way to get people in their camp. I know Box did that with the HTC, and the S3 did it with the Dropbox. It got a lot of people shifting over to that service right away. So MediaFire, if you have a chance, 50 gigs for free, right? That's 3 Nexus 4s worth of space for free online. And you know me, I'm a cloud app guy. So if you take a look on our blog, and one of the very top little tags or little tabs we have up there, one of them is databases. If you look in the databases section, I have a thing all about cloud options. So what I've done is I've rated, well, not as much rated, but given you the breakdown of the different types of cloud options. So Dropbox, Sugar Sync, Minus, Drive, MediaFire. There's a Blackout in there, and I've done is I've highlighted the ones that have the most in certain categories. So if you would take a look in there, you'll see all the different options. And again, go ahead and try it out and see what you like. All right. So, anyways, so let's move along here. Let's talk about Press, and this is something I'm interested in, as Google Reader is the way I consume my media. I go along the internet and I find a blog I kind of like. I'll hit the subscribe button and I keep it, and I keep reading it and I keep reading it. So such a point that I have my Google Reader now has somewhere like a couple hundred blogs and news sites that I have subscribed, whereas I'll have about 1,000 to 2,000 articles a day I go through. But we keep hearing that Google eventually is going to be killing Google Reader. The app hasn't updated in forever. The web style hasn't changed since Google Plus first came out. It's probably going away. I really, really, really hope not. But I've heard people talking about Press as being the sort of successor to Google Reader. So, Sylvain, you tried it out. What do you think?
Yes, I got it today. At first, I was reading all the reviews. Everybody's so happy that the new update fixed all the bugs. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get it, and that's it, because I use Google Reader lots too, and it's not being updated like you said, and I just want to have something new with a new look and everything. I'm disappointed with what I'm seeing, and the reason is, well, it's probably just because the way my Google Reader is set up. Mine is all by folder, and Press seems to be working with labels. So basically, all I have is a no label kind of folder, and I go in there and I see everything. It's all messed up. So I'm not too sure about it. If they could fix that, at least give the option to just really take what's coming from Google Reader rather than just labels, that'd be great. So I didn't uninstall Google Reader yet. I'll keep the two on my phone and hope for an update.
Now, does it sync Press with your Google Reader?
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Like all the unread counts and everything like that.
Well,
Keep syncing between the two.
That's the other thing. I think that you can sync your read articles, but I don't know. It's not showing up, so I don't know what's going on. I played maybe for half an hour with it. Maybe I need to go back in my settings and look at it, and I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah. Now, Cass, you're also a reader fan like me and like to go through and what's have you had a chance to take a look at Press or have a comment on Reader or?
I haven't had a chance to look at Press, but I know I tried Minimal Reader because people were saying that, you know, this was just as good as, like, I've seen Press, I've seen Minimal Reader, I've seen Reader Pro, and none of them seem to have the functionality that the current Reader app has, which is, if Google's going to discontinue it, that's going to be really harsh. Like, nothing seems to keep those unread things synchronized. Even using Flipboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I use Flipboard. I use also use Pulse, and still they just don't work as good as the Reader app. I had high hopes for Presser.
Yeah, so like I was interested in taking a look at Press. Somebody once told me that Press wouldn't be for me because I mass consume. I have so many I like to go through that it isn't the way to go. And that's really why I haven't had a chance to take a look at the other models as well out there, like Flipboard and Currents and stuff like that. It's because I like to have all that. And I like to be able to read a few on my phone, you know, put it down, go to my computer, pick up exactly where I left off, read through the articles, close that off, go to my tablet, pick it up, and keep reading through. I love being able to do that. I love being able to read in reverse order. So I read the oldest articles first, get them out of the way, and catch up to real time. And I don't think anything's really met that need for me. And I really hope somebody from Google watches this and realizes that we have some hardcore Google Reader fans here that they just can't kill it off, and you just need to make it better. We talked in the pre-Hangout portion of this about how the fear, or not the fear, but the eventual plan we think here is that you know eventually somehow Google Plus will be ingrained within Google Reader, or the two will mesh in some way. So some little app or for Google Plus that you'll have your reader. And in a sense, it's almost that way right now. If you put a bunch of people in a certain circle and just turn that circle off, go to that circle, stream those blogs, and you can see their posts. So there's pluses and minuses to that as well. Last update of the week we saw was Facebook. For those of you still on that social media giant, they released the app update to have voice messaging within the messaging part. So that the Facebook chat, you can now send a voice message to your friends that way. Previously, you were only allowed to do that if you had the Facebook Messenger app, but now you don't have to, which is great for me because I hate installing a second app to do the same thing something else does. I really didn't see the purpose of having Facebook Messenger. I don't know what the difference was. Maybe I just don't use Facebook enough. But it just, I don't want to have to put another app on there for the same thing. So it has that feature in there built in. Okay, so that's Facebook. Those of you guys are still using it. So before we go into the App Coliseum, let's take a look at, we had a comment from one of the viewers here that I think Tom wants to respond to.
Yeah, the guy has been with us from the beginning. He's doing a lot of questions. He's really supporting us here. Paul Polko 22 asked if he's seen a lot of updates from Android in Canada, wondering if it's still us. And the answer to that question is no, it's not us anymore. We're still friends with Android in Canada, but we decided we wanted to do our own thing. We wanted to have a blog that we owned 100% between our friends and I and our community. And so on that aspect, we decided to help us grow and really take charge and really make it ours. We're going to do this right, and we're going to do it our way. So, you know, we're still friends. There's no hard feelings between the blogs, but no, we have no connection to Android in Canada anymore. I mean, they're a great site, but we want to do our own thing. So that's the answer. We're not part of them anymore.
Yeah, by all means, we're. I mean, I was grateful for the opportunity that we had to be able to be part of that community. I mean, to be able to take that Google Plus site, I think what Tom and I did for that and bringing it to a pretty high level, I think it was a pretty cool thing. And it gave us a chance to sort of understand what we were doing, and that's where I think we butted up with the idea of, well, you know what, I think we've gone as far as we could with Android in Canada, what we were allowed to, and I think if we do anything different that we wanted to do, we had to go on our own thing. So we definitely wish the best, and it's great to see that Tim has some help now. He has some extra guys right in there as well, so they're still doing their thing, and we'll still be commenting on their articles when they interest us, of course, because again, Android's not about one specific blog or one specific device. It's all about a community of people who are using this, and this is why we really want to have that discussion with everybody about everything we do, and just talk. You know, what is it? So there's no sort of partisanship here. So, anyways, before we go into the App Coliseum portion of it, let's do my ingress invite giveaway. So, it turns out I actually have 6 invites to give away. So, in order to keep it exciting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away 3 this week, and I'll keep 3 for next week as well. So, if you don't get one this week, you can have an opportunity next week. And I wanted to do that just because the way we want to do this is that you may, if you're watching it later, you may not have a chance, and there might be a bunch of people coming in here looking just for a freebie, so it might get a little hectic. So the ingress invite giveaway I want to do is I want you to come up with something for us next week. I want you to pose a question to me. I want you to say to me, write us a comment on Google+, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever it is. Comment to us, tag us in your post, say, hey, Android Coliseum, your post next week, the poll should be on blah, a 1-question poll. Should it be on what phone takes the best picture? It should be what game is the #1 game for Android? So we can do a poll. I like asking you guys a question, so I want you guys to tell us what question we should ask next week. So write to us. Tag us in your post so people can see what we're doing here. I want it to be public. I want people to find us because that's kind of why we're doing this. So we can get our name out there. But also, be part of that, you have to put in our secret word, which I think we'll use the word. What should we use? I heard somebody say turnpike earlier, so let's use turnpike. So if you use turnpike and you say, hey, Android Coliseum, the poll next week's on turnpikes should be blah. That's the secret word. If you don't have the word turnpike in your post, and you don't have us tagged in the post, and there's no poll question, you don't get the invite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at through the things that come up, and on Monday I'll pick 3 I think are the coolest answers out there. So the 3 that catch my fancy the most. So that's 3 we're going to do this week, and we'll do 3 next week. And I really want to thank the Niantic project for being able to answer my request for these invites and being able to give them away. So it's a great game. For those of you who aren't playing it yet, I think you're missing out. It's kind of cool. I'm not a gamer per se, but this is kind of a nice in-between. Okay, so that's the Ingress invite giveaway. I hope you guys get a chance to come in. If you get it and you win on Monday, tell me what side are you joining? Are you Enlightened or are you Resistance? Tell me. Okay, so now on to our App Coliseum. So this week we've talked about our weather app of choice, and let's start this off. So the person who actually I think suggested this to me was Cass. I think you were the one who suggested the team, wasn't it? I can't remember.
You're Sylvain.
Yeah, I did.
Sylvain? Oh, it's Sylvain. Okay, sorry. Okay, so that's right. You said keyboard. So that's a suggestion for somebody's Ingress invite giveaway poll question. But anyways, Cass, we're going to start from the left side, me here. Let's go along here and tell us your weather app of choice.
Actually, my weather app of choice, I have several. Like I have 3 that I'm running, but one that I really like is called AX Weather Widget. So I'm just going to quickly show you my screen. And it's actually this part right at the bottom. It's a graph. It shows a 24-hour graph of your weather for the day. So at a glance, you can see an hour by hour. Oh, I have a dog. So you can see an hour by hour of the weather expectations and your precipitation and stuff like that. So it's a nice app. Stop sharing that. And it does get its weather data from the NOAA National Weather Service. It's a Norwegian, it's from a Norwegian developer. It says it's in beta, but it's been in beta for a long time. So it is a widget only. But I like it because you get to see the weather at a glance.
Okay, so what was that called? AIX Weather?
Weather widget, yep.
AIX Weather Widget. Okay, so for those of you who are playing the home game here, you're watching our Android Coliseum Friday Night Hangout topics. If you take a look in the topics we're writing, actually our things out with the link there. So she will be putting that in there shortly, and then we'll share it on our Google Plus page. So that's Cass's. Mine is, I think the one we already said was the number one so far in the poll. So for those of you who disagree with me, make sure you put your answer in the poll so that we know. Mine is the Weather Network. I like to use that. That one's my favorite. What I like about it the most is the fact that it's basically is. Let's see if I can share this. This come up for you guys. It gives me the smaller widget. It's not pretty, like Cass once told me. It's not pretty, but it gives me the Weather Network, which is the channel I watch all the time. I grew up with my dad, who's a weather nut, and this is what he watched every day between 5:30 and 7 before he went to work and came home, and he knows the weather inside and out. So I grew up on the Weather Network, so it just made sense for me to make sure I got the same data. I don't think I get the same data somewhere else. I don't know if there's just some change. So I like it. I get the widget. If I want to see, I can scroll around and here. I don't know if you guys can see that. But I also can see stuff like the 14-day trends. But what was really cool, for me at least, especially in the mornings nowadays when I let my son out for the bus, I can say, oh, it's -12, but it feels like -18. And a lot of the other ones I've seen out there really don't give us the wind chill as well, which in Canada we know is a pretty important factor when it comes to how cold it is. Telling you the exact temperature is not enough. I want to know how cold it feels. Okay, so that's mine. Let's see who else we have here. Next will be Sylvain. Your choice.
Okay, my choice is a WeatherBug Elite. Is there a reason why I chose that one? Well, I did pay for it. I think it just gives me everything I wanted to see on one screen. The forecast, the actual temperature and all that, very easy. There's a few options I didn't even check. I know there's alerts, which I received today. The alert was that the temperature would go from +5 to -9 in 3 hours. So I think that's good to know. I can also change the locations real easily just by a swipe. So I can check what's the temperature in Montreal, what it is in Saskatchewan, or just back home. I'm not sure there's a widget. I think so, but I don't use it. But there's, in my notification bar, it always tells me what's the temperature. Right now, it shows me -10. So that's all I need, really. Nothing extensive.
All right. So sorry, I missed the name of it again, Sylvain. You'll post it in a second, eh?
Yeah, I will. WeatherBug.
Okay. WeatherBug, which is what I think was up there on one of the whole listing there. So, so Sylvain's is WeatherBug, and Tom, let's hear yours.
Mine is actually really simple. It's just simply Google Now. I used to use widgets like fancy widgets or beautiful widgets, and I used to set it the weather provider as Google. I mean, so now the fact that Google Now actually incorporates this into our Android systems is just outstanding. They give me little pop-up notifications, let me know that there's a heavy rainfall or snowfall warnings here and there, without being over spammy and getting in my face about it. It's very simple, less strain on my system. It's not polling for data every X amount of hours. I mean, that's it. And of course, I can invert it and make it black and sexy like I usually do. right? So that's it. Just Google Now, straight up.
Tom is our Google fan of the group. He is a Google hardcore, and I must say, I have become quite a heavy Google Now user. So for those of you who are suffering on anything that's not Jelly Bean, we feel bad. I'm sorry. Get CyanogenMod 10.1 or AOKP, because Google Now is, and pardon my French, it's the shit. It's really the best way. It's getting smarter all the time. Tom posted just before our pre-show, hey, look, Google Now told me I got to go to the pre-show. Oh yeah, I got to get ready. It's a really good app. I mean, I think it's a really good way to keep track of things for us. So that's really cool. So those of you who don't have Google Now, check our app update or firmware update database and see when you are going to get that officially, or do a root in Flash and get it yourself, because it's definitely worth it. So that's our App Coliseum for the week. And the idea behind, again, the App Coliseum is the idea is we share some of these apps that we're using here that we... Sylvain has a comment. Sorry, Sylvain.
Yes.
I turned off chat.
That's fine. I just wanted to say something about Google Now. When you look at the card you have, it gives you a temperature, let's say, for tomorrow, Saturday. Me, I see -9 to -26. So I click on there. It opens my browser.
Mm-hmm.
And for Saturday now, in the browser, I see -7, -28. So how come it's not the same? I don't know where they fetch the data.
Yeah, I guess it's a matter of where they fetch the data, right? That's why I like Weather Network, is because I like having the official Weather Channel network data. So yeah, because what's really cool I like about that too is when you do tap it, I love that slider. You can go slider across, right? You get that slider across,
cool.
so that's kind of cool. So why isn't it the same? I don't know. It depends, I guess, where it fetches that data from and where they're getting information. I think Cass had a conspiracy theory thought number about the fact it was Weather Underground or something. The Google bought that or something.
No, actually, I did find out who bought it. The Weather Network. The Weather Channel bought Weather Underground. I think the
Weather Channel is the American one, is it not?
Yep, that's right. Yeah. So they bought Weather Underground for its historical data.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing is, too, I don't know if you guys noticed about Google Now, just to go back to Google Now comments. This past week, Google used to say, what's the weather like outside? And it used to have to give you an answer. It's -12. It doesn't give you the Siri answer like, you should probably wear a scarf, or something like that, really dumb, like Zooey Chanel needs to know. But apparently some of the answers are now disappeared off of that. Anyways, yes, so let's go back to, I just want to talk quickly about the idea of our App Coliseum. Again, the idea is that we're sharing our apps that we like. And from these apps, I hope you find some that you guys like. And if you don't, tell us what you like. Use that App Coliseum hashtag so that we can sort of follow around and see what the others make. I don't know. I can't tell you how many of these App Coliseums I've used and then gone out and bought an app after it. And it's like, no, you know what? All right, it is good. I've now seen it, and I think that's pretty much the gist of it, is that we need to see each other's apps and what we're using. That's why I like seeing everybody else's screenshots. What is your screens? How's your setup? How does it look? Am I doing something wrong? Should I do something better? We're a community, and we all should learn from each other. It's the idea. So you only get better by learning from each other. So if you have a suggestion for tonight's App Coliseum, by all means, or just a suggestion for next week's App Coliseum, use the hashtag in Google Plus or on Twitter, that we can find that and we can see and we can share with our rest of our community. With that, I'd like to call a close to this week's Friday Night Hangout. This has been Friday Night Hangout number 12. Again, the blog will post the video up online. We'll have MP3s, MP4s for everybody to download. It's been fun, guys, and I can't wait till next week, obviously. So until then, check us out. Share the page, AndroidColiseum.com. I'm Ryan Moore. Sign off. We'll go from Cass. Sign off.
Have a great week.
From Sylvain.
Hello. Have a great week, too.
And from Tom.
See you all later.
Okay. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
See ya.
Last thing we'll do, we're going to turn this off air, and we'll post the link online. So if anybody wants to jump in on this now and talk about what we just talked about, we're all going to hang out for a few minutes after. Okay, so we'll go off air now.